How about this? I'll do it.
Okay.
Welcome to the party. That was the episode
Oh, that's right.
name.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Pink Ember Media for Reality Armchair, Survivor Season 48, Episode 9. Welcome to the party.
Welcome to the party. Dare I say, the greatest fucking episode of Survivor ever recorded in human history.
Quite a turnaround from last episode.
Yeah, and you know what? This whole day, I was like, it's been a rough day for Ariel and I. There's just been a lot of stuff. Well, not a lot of stuff, but just like it's just been a long, stressful day.
It's a pretty long day, yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I'm really just not looking forward to watching Survivor because it's going to be an even longer day, a longer night that I have to fucking watch these people that I don't want to watch, make these moves that I don't want them to make. And then they just fucking flipped and they finally did what everyone had been asking.
Well, what Survivor's meant for. Like, I will say last week was the first time ever that I actually, after we filmed, I went and looked for other people's opinions.
I was gonna say I think we both last week. I looked at Twitter, you looked at Reddit.
Yeah.
And we were both like, "There's no way we're the only ones that feel like this."
And we weren't, but there were a lot of people defending David, at least on Reddit.
On Reddit and on Twitter, there wasn't a single human soul.
Which I guess is the first time that I'm like
agreeing with Twitter.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single person that was rooting for the Strong Alliance. Most people were hating on specifically David and Eva. Eva because she's kind of like not for the women. You know, she's kind of like going against most women on the island, all the women. And David because he's David.
We forgot to mention that we're drinking chocolate milk.
Yeah, we're celebrating with chocolate milk. The one time we'll be drinking a non-alcoholic beverage on this channel, but just had to do it. And on the wall for today, we have St. Motel's foreplay. Yellow theme.
Because we're walking on sunshine.
Walking on sunshine. We got foreplay by St. Motel, which, dare I say, is their best EP over My Type, which I like My Type quite a bit, besides My Type, the song, but... and then we have REM's Out of Time, Trench by 21 Pilots, and the SpongeBob soundtrack by SpongeBob and the gang, which was a RSD Black Friday exclusive.
So, getting into the episode, they walk in from Tribal. Shaheen is surprised that Chrissy was mad at the muscles, and that the vote landed on him from her. So, you know, everybody voted unanimously, but he doesn't think that it was unanimous in their hearts.
Yeah, just on paper.
Yeah. And then David tries to say to Camilla, I'm going to be honest. I floated your name. I thought Chrissy was going to use her shot in the dark. So, and then Camilla's like, you're a terrible liar, David.
Yeah.
Calls him out. I love that.
Yeah. And like, obviously this has to emphasize that he's being honest, which he always is. Honest Abe.
And in her interview, obviously, like the next day, she says that he's the only one that lied straight to her face. And she's like talking about how he's going off about this honest, not deceitful game. Like he has integrity, and he was the only one that lied to her face. And then the next morning, we see David and the gang all still talking about getting Camilla out. He's like trying to get a read on every single person. Like, it's Camilla, right? And basically like kind of a bullying nature to it.
Well, him and Mary, yeah.
And Mary, yeah. Mary was really bugging me this episode for sure. And then Kyle pulls Shaheen to the side and tells him, you know, David wants Camilla out because he thinks that you and Camilla have a relationship or have an alliance going on. So Kyle kind of spins it so that it's once again not obvious that they have an alliance, that Camilla is his number one, and instead makes it personal to Shaheen that like David is going after Camilla because of you. And I thought that was pretty good. It seemed he did convince Shaheen, because in his interview he said exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you remembering any of this?
I don't. I remember. I think up until a little bit before the challenge.
Well, and then David is talking to Joe, maybe Eva. I didn't take notes on who he was talking to, but he is like, they are working together. Kyle and Shaheen are going to flip, and they are going to work with Camilla to flip and get me or Mary out. And then he kind of starts like bullying Kyle after he says that to somebody. And Kyle is really like having a rough time with it. Like he talks about like dealing with confrontational people, and he wants to be able to talk to David about it, but he can't. And he definitely seems like off for sure.
Kyle.
Yeah. Um and then it's nighttime and Eva leaves because that's what her scroll said to do. I don't think we mentioned that last night. I had actually forgotten that was part of the scroll.
That she has to go
She
back
had to
next
go the
night.
night after tribal
Yeah.
to go see what it was about. So she leaves, and Shaheen actually catches her leaving and tells Joe, of all people, like, Eva's going somewhere. And Joe's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Chill out, dude.
I think he basically said, I'm not worried
I'm
about
not
Eva.
worried. I'm not worried. And Shaheen went back to his hammock and waited for Eva to come back. And he's like
Said
shaking his
nothing.
head. Yeah, he did absolutely nothing. I would have followed her. I would have followed her.
Yeah, because what I was thinking the whole time is that he could have followed her, and she could have been like, I'll just do it another night. And then obviously her not knowing that was the only night that could have happened, and then she wouldn't have this advantage. But I think ultimately for his game,
it turned out fine because the next morning she did reveal like what happened. And so he took it as her solidifying trust.
And what it was is, so she already has an idol for context. Yeah. So she gets immediately a
extra
steal
vote.
Oh, it's an extra vote, and she can risk it for a 50-50 chance of a, I don't remember what I think it's like power in.
It's safety without power.
Safety without power.
So it's what Rachel had last season when she got out of the one tribal where she was literally going to be voted out. Yeah. And it was what's his face?
Andy? No.
Damn it.
The guy with a lot of hair?
No, the one that you said dressed very.
Oh,
gaily.
Saul?
Yeah, Saul.
Oh, he gave it to her.
Saul was the one that gave it to Rachel. And it literally saved her. Yeah, it literally saved her.
That's what woke her up too.
Yeah.
Like, she really started playing after that.
Oh, yeah. So that really worked for Rachel. So I don't know if it'll come in handy for Eva, but
I mean, she just has, I don't know if, well, so she risked it and she got the advantage, which is basically like, it's basically an immunity idol. You just don't use it at the end, you use it at the beginning. And I think
so it's safety without power, so you leave without a vote.
Yeah,
but
you can't be
voted
out.
Safe.
So
yeah.
And also, I think it only works till 7 people is what it was, right?
It said, I think 6.
6. And she could risk it again for a 30-30 chance, 33% chance. So 3 scrolls, and it was an idol. Which, again, the one that she already has is basically an idol. It's just you can't vote. So she didn't risk it, and she went back, which I'm confused about this. So I don't know if she gets the extra vote and the...
No, I think she just has safety.
Okay, so
because she risked the extra vote.
So I think that's kind of worth it. I mean, you can make a better play with an extra vote, but you're safe with that safety without power.
But you have to know that the vote is on you.
Yeah, I guess I would do it. I would just like mouth off and then be like, all right, I'm gone.
So she tells them in the morning what she got, and Shaheen's like, all right.
She tells Joe, Shaheen, and Kyle.
Yeah.
Which, fine by me.
Yeah. So then I think it was later that day, Kyle tried to talk to Joe while he was in the hammock, and then David came up and interrupted them. So Kyle kind of left, and then David instead talked to Joe, and that was when he was talking about Camilla and Kyle working together, and probably Shaheen in there too. But essentially, what that conversation turned to be was that David accused Joe of going back on his word,
Yeah.
and Joe like got
Was not having.
enraged.
He was not
He
having it.
was like, dude, what? I did
Yeah.
not go back on my word. Everyone agreed to
And
vote
David
for
was trying to get
Chrissy.
past it. Like he knew he fucked up, and he was like, "Well, I mean," he's like, "Well, I mean,
It may not have been intentional, but
yeah." And then he was like, "Bro, don't ever say that I've ever
yeah,
gone back on my word. I will
yeah,
literally die before I go back on my word."
yeah.
Like super serious. And I feel like there's something else to that I don't remember. Did you write it?
Um, After that, we see Joe in his interview say that he only trusts Eva, Kyle, and Shaheen,
Yeah.
but he's not certain about
I
David.
think that interaction
That
could have
was
been
the
the catalyst,
catalyst.
yeah, to like everything that happened for the rest of this episode because David and or not David, Joe and Eva are kind of like in the middle, and they could have gone either way, and
Mm-hmm.
it would have been that way. So
Mm-hmm.
they were really like the vote you needed.
Yeah. So that conversation was great. Camilla or Eva was sitting right there while that conversation happened, and she did at one point try to interject, but both David and Joe were heated enough that they didn't let her talk. But
Yeah,
um
and he was trying to say that he was going back on his word by
by not voting out Camilla.
yeah, I'm voting for Chrissy, and it's like, bro, you wrote down Chrissy. Like all of you wrote down Chrissy. It
Yeah.
wasn't just Joe.
Well,
Like
and that's why Joe was like, "Nah, man, the group
yeah, and
voted."
it's like, bro, you literally wrote down Chrissy's name. How could you possibly say that Joe is the only one that went back on the word? Like you guys collectively agreed we're not voting Camilla anymore. We're voting Chrissy. So that
I
didn't
think
even
he's
make
only saying
sense.
that because at one point they did agree it was going to be Camilla.
They all
And
agreed.
then, yeah, they all agreed. And then Kyle did convince Joe
Yeah,
to not vote for Camilla.
but
But everybody like was already uneasy with voting for Camilla. So it
yeah,
wasn't like Kyle had to sell them that hard on voting
yeah,
for Chrissy.
which Camilla would have been the better vote.
Um yeah, but no.
Well, I mean, obviously, like for the viewer, that's not what we want to see, but like
For their game.
you want to see Chrissy at the end.
Yeah. So then Star appears out of nowhere to remind us she can't swim.
Literally said out loud, I forgot she
I
was even
forgot
on
she was
this
here. I forgot.
on this season.
We did not see her at all up until that point of the episode. I should
I
have
don't
taken
think
note of like how many minutes in we
I
were.
don't even think there was a
There was not a single shot of her.
single shot
Yeah.
interview clip like
No,
her in the
nothing.
background, anything. So I was like completely like dumbfounded when I
Yeah.
saw her on my screen.
Like, oh shit, she's still here.
She's gonna be the GOAT, I feel.
She was just watching somebody swim and just saying like, "Oh, how nice it would be to just be able to swim
Is that what she
freely."
said?
Yeah. And Mitch ends up teaching her some tips on how to swim, and she goes out there and is practicing. And then it's like
Horrible form.
yeah. And then it's everybody out in the ocean swimming, kind of coming back and forth, and Joe and Kyle sit down on the beach. And Kyle shares with Joe kind of more about his past and talks
A little
about
troublemaker.
yeah, that he was a troublemaker. And I kind of almost felt a little like, oh, boo-hoo, Kyle, you were popular and you like started drinking and you know, just a little bit. Like
I get that,
I
but
feel for him, but
I was sympathizing a little bit just because like I was drinking at a very young age, and my like the first party I ever went to, I was in like 6th grade, and it was a big rager. Like
it's just such a different lifestyle to me because
yeah,
I grew up Mormon and it just
yeah, but ultimately, like I look back at that, and I from what I can tell by Kyle, like he's a smart kid, like
yeah.
or an adult at this point, and he seems to be on a better track. But I feel like a lot of people, like including myself, will fall victim to like this lifestyle of like being rebellious and like drinking at a young age, partying, and then you just kind of like get distracted on what's more important, which is like, you know, your self growth and career and like your future and all that. So I felt a little like sympathetic towards him, and I
So did
think
Joe.
yeah, and I think because he also came from a similar background, um, and he just was talking about how he went to jail. He went to jail for nothing violent. It was always like
It was underage
underage
drinking
drinking.
and being caught with a beer on
Yeah,
the
which in my
in
head I'm like,
public.
bro, just get a brown bag.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing walking around with a 40 out in the streets? Like, yeah, you're gonna get fucking in trouble for
Well,
that.
and it was also revealed that he did that while he was in law school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is why I said like he seems like a smart guy. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna be in law school, and what he was saying was that like he was taking his test or like exams and studying in jail.
Yeah.
And he had his fiance, which is the first time she's been
I
brought
think
up.
that that's the first mention of a fiance for
Yeah, I
him.
think so. We could have been zoned out in the first few episodes, but um, it seemed like the first mention, and she was bringing him books in jail. Again, it seems like serious prison time for such petty,
Jill.
or yes, serious jail time. Because like if you're there for a whole semester, or like
I'm guessing there's a little more to that story. Like I feel like these
yeah,
misdemeanors would have to add up for him to get jail time.
yeah, and again, it's just like, bro, you're literally studying law. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was fun. I just thought it was crazy, like that he's out drinking like with a beer or whatever without a bag. You
Yeah.
just get a fucking bag.
Yeah.
I hope he learned his lesson.
So he's just kind of explaining like this is why, everything that's happening with David and Mary is making me very uncomfortable. Like why
It's triggering him.
I'm being triggered right now. And he tried to kind of explain it. I think he was being like totally genuine, but also playing the game
I
in
think
this
he was
moment.
weaponizing it a
He was
little bit
definitely weaponizing
because,
it.
like, realistically, how is it triggering? Like, because it
Well,
reminds you of a police officer.
that's kind of what he was saying. He was like, it's not really David, but like I think he was really just trying to open up to Joe and making Joe like more on his side rather than
Yeah,
David's.
I think he
And it
was.
worked.
I think he was trying to do what Eva did, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, what Eva did um, was not really strategic. It was just like, I need someone to have as a number one, and she opened up, and then that formed a bond that we've really never seen on the show before.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kyle was kind of trying to do that by just opening up about something personal about him.
I think that Joe must really give off this vibe that he's like a really good guy. Like,
yeah,
which is what Kyle said.
And he actually does remind me of a guy, ironically named David, like a family friend, and he looks a lot like Joe, and he is like kind of like a fatherly figure and like someone who had a troubled past and like someone you can kind of relate to. So I can see why people kind of gravitate towards Joe, and it's also because he's not really that cocky. He's just
He's
like
not.
he's a very humble guy.
Yeah. And in that moment, Joe also confided in Kyle, like, I do not like the way that David spoke to me just now. Like
Yeah,
he really feels like he's manipulating me because he just said that I went back on my word and he knows how important that is to me.
yeah.
And so he's really trying to do
I
something
also think
here.
it's so funny that pretty much everything that happened to David this episode is all because he was paranoid and he
Yeah.
was like projecting, and like had he just like kind of kept his mouth shut or like just kept calm, I think he would have been in the clear. But he really
I
just blew up his
agree.
game.
He blew up his game by trying to blow up Kyle's game.
Yeah, he was just like,
Even though he was right.
I mean, he was
He was
right.
right.
Although I don't think I don't think the vote would have been the way it went if he just like was just more chill. I think he was just giving off a bad vibe to
I think
everybody.
Mary was like kind of egging it on.
She was kind of like, um, I don't even want to make the reference, but it was like reminded me of a Dragon Ball character. It was Majin Buu and fucking Babidi, just like evil person on your shoulder, just like controlling what you're doing. um, but yeah, it really seemed like them two together was just complete toxicity.
Yeah, I would agree. So after Joe kind of confides in Kyle, he goes to Eva because obviously Eva's his number one and wants to get her opinion and ask like, so how are you feeling about David and Mary?
Yeah.
And Eva says like, I just want everybody to be happy. Like I'm really trying to keep everybody together. Everybody's being paranoid right now. I trust everybody. And she does admit like maybe she's feeling safe because she has an idol. She can't really tell when people are lying, but she really like just wanted to keep their alliance together is what she said out of that. So then after that was the immunity and reward challenge, where they had to hold up a bar to keep
Oh
a
my god,
ball up
Jeff, what the
on.
fuck are you doing?
I what are these challenges?
It's
Like,
lit. Wasn't it? Well, it wasn't back to back, but it was like back to back solo challenges because the challenge before that was like teams, right? You had to be on teams.
I honestly don't remember what last episode
It
was.
was it ended
It
up with the
wasn't.
pole. They're hugging the
Oh,
pole.
okay, yeah.
So there was like
There were twos. Yeah,
teams. So
teams
that
of
was teams,
two.
and the one before that was solo, which
Hmm.
was you're
The
holding it.
yeah,
You're holding it with like wrist and grip and bicep strength.
yeah.
And then here's the next solo
I just
challenge.
want to change up. Like, give a little bit more than
Yeah,
these.
it's
Like,
like how the fuck are these people and like immediately stars out,
stars out immediately.
Mary,
Yeah,
Camilla
and
and
Mitch,
Mitch, and then
and then
Shaheen a little
Eva.
bit.
Eva was actually
Yeah,
out.
Eva out too, but it's like and then Jeff has the audacity to say this is a classic Survivor challenge. And it's like
I don't. I mean, maybe they like changed it a little bit, but I really don't remember this
maybe in like
challenge.
season 5,
I
like
really
I've literally never seen
don't
this
feel like
before.
I've seen this challenge,
And we
but
could be totally wrong, but
yeah,
like
probably.
it's definitely not classic status. Like
I
when I
don't
think of
think so.
classic Survivor challenges, I don't think of this fucking bullshit.
Mm-mm.
And I just think for a season that is so the theme of strength is so prominent, to have challenges that are literally geared towards strength specifically and only, it's just complete bullshit. Like
It is.
how is Mitch ever going to have an opportunity to make a play if he can't compete to his fullest ability because it's all just like strength challenges? How is Camilla supposed to ever win? How is someone like Mary supposed to win?
Which
Like,
is exactly why they get the strong people out. Because a
yeah,
lot of these challenges are about strength or endurance, like what not even endurance actually. It's just strength.
yeah,
And yeah, that's exactly why the strong people get voted out so that these little guys
yeah.
have a
It just,
chance.
it's, I feel like it's that, I keep making comparisons, but it's just kind of like a stark difference from the newest season of the challenge where it's like these carnival games where it's like just completely anyone could win. Um,
Oh, the challenge
and
enrages me. I don't even want to go into the
the
challenge right
challenge used
now.
to be like a strength based game where like people with strength would win, but now it's kind of like just more
I think
carnival-ish
at least
games.
on the All Star season.
Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of been down that way, and with Survivor, I feel like it's usually always been pretty balanced for throughout the seasons. I think maybe this newer era, it's been. I think maybe the older eras just had stronger people as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot more people were fit back then.
So then it gets down to Joe and David. We see Kyle. He gets out because he fell off
He
of
fell
his
off, yeah.
box. And then Joe was actually like super close to losing. Like he was really like
His ball moved like
it
at least
was
5 times,
yeah, it was very close to falling.
like inches every
And
time.
then out of nowhere, David like just lost it, and he actually like stepped off his box, and he was out,
Hmm.
and he was
Almost
pissed.
started crying,
He was so
pissed his
pissed.
pants.
He was like, he did almost the same thing when he got voted out. Like he stood there like,
Oh, it's
no, no,
it
that didn't just
honestly
happen.
like it was like a flip of a switch and like it was kind of scary.
It was a
Like
little
it
scary.
was like
Yeah.
kind of the shit you see before you're about to get beat up by
Right.
your like
It's
uh
like this calm, but you know that they're just like
yeah.
seething
It
underneath.
reminded me of like a horror movie of like an abusive dad like
Yikes.
silently about to beat their children. Like seriously like completely different energy than we've ever seen David in.
Yeah, so he walks off, and
He's looking at the
Jeff is giving
corner.
Joe the immunity necklace, and yeah, he literally isn't even sitting down like for
He
that.
can't even look at anybody.
And then Jeff points it out, like, Joe, you're so happy. Like, David, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
I think he said
you're so sad right now.
nothing but smiles for Joe and nothing but anger on
I don't
David's
remember what
face,
he
something
said.
like that.
It was definitely he compared the two of them.
Yeah.
And eventually he calls out David like, "What? I can tell you're upset. Like what is it?"
Yeah.
And David goes off on this rant like, I should have won that. I should have
He
won
basically
that."
said, "I made a mistake, and I had so much more left. I would
Mhm.
have won that if I didn't
Mhm.
make that mistake." Sore fucking loser, pussy ass
Seriously,
excuse.
like that's exactly what Survivor is. Like that's why Jeff talks about like concentration so much, that you have to stay concentrated the whole time
Yeah.
so that you don't
He
lose.
probably just got annoyed of Jeff
I don't care
fucking
what it was,
yapping.
but he lost and he did not get
Yeah, and it was
immunity.
the best time to lose.
Yeah,
And it really looked like he was about to win. Um, but yeah, I still can't get over just how he kind of acted about that. And
that
even
was crazy.
he
That
went
was
back
sore
he went
loser.
back to his tribe or back to the island.
Well, first Joe picks Mitch
Yeah, he starts
immediately for
crying.
the reward, and then he picks Shaheen and then Eva for
Hmm.
the sandwiches and whatever. But yeah, back at camp, David is sulking like
Yeah.
super
And
hard.
basically just says again, like, I would have won that.
Yeah.
And Mary's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You had that in the bag.
And
You're
Kyle
so
walks up and
great.
he's like, "Man, that was the tough one,
Yeah,
man."
he says, sorry, brother, that was too bad.
Yeah. And then in his interview, he's like, the fuck is happening between Mary
Yeah.
and David?
He
Like,
says, like, I don't even want to
I don't
say
even
it.
want to say it, but they definitely were very close.
Yeah.
But he was implying that they looked like a couple with how much Mary was having to console David. And it's true. Like David was sulking
Just a
so
big fucking
bad.
man
Yeah,
baby.
seriously. Um, and just like saying we need to get them separated. Like this is not good. And then we see Star walking up to Mary and David as they're like having this paranoia trip, like all around camp. Like, how do you feel about voting out Shaheen? She's so funny when she walks up. Like she is just free range. Like she has absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah. Like, really the worst time to be asking this question.
Yeah. And they're like, no, no,
Yeah,
we're not
immediately
voting out
like, nah, we
Shaheen.
can't. We literally cannot do that.
Yeah. And then Mitch back at the reward um eating picnic, he says that he's 100% on voting out David. And Shaheen gets really excited about that. And then all of a sudden, all this missing footage of Shaheen saying shit about David to like every single person,
Absolutely wild.
it comes out of nowhere. Like we just have this montage of plants or seeds being planted
Yeah.
with people
Which
about
is like,
David.
I guess they obviously know the outcome when they're making these episodes. They know the
Mm.
outcome of who wins. But like, why would you not let the viewers in on what Shaheen is doing for his game?
Because they wanted exactly what happened to happen, where a lot of the fans were upset with last episode, and then we have this like
Yeah,
we
which is
have this
just
major
complete manipulation of what has actually happened and just fabricating
Mhm.
basically the events, making us think that the tribe is feeling a certain way when realistically there's footage of somebody planting seeds on somebody's downfall, but we're not showing it so that viewers can feel like, there's no hope.
Yeah.
Completely ridiculous.
The reward people come back to camp, and David and Mary are telling Eva that they're voting for Mitch. And then Eva goes to talk to Kyle and tells him what their plan is. And Kyle actually tells Eva, like, I think I'm gonna write David. And Shaheen comes up, I think, and Eva says that, and he's like, yeah, I'm down. And Kyle's just talking about like how he needs to be like he's walking on eggshells trying to get Eva and Joe to vote for David because they're this like I'm not going to go against my word like and David is in their alliance, so he's
Yeah,
being really careful about it.
this could have been really bad.
Yeah. And then so we just see like that wishy-washy like what do I do? And then we go into tribal council. And Joe, one note I did take was that Joe, the first thing he said was talking about the social aspect of the game. He was like, you really got to be mindful of like the day-to-day vibe of the camp. And I was like, I think that's the only important thing and truthful thing that he said. And
Yeah.
everybody said, really. I just feel like, so there was an episode of On Fire podcast where Jeff talked about he's told the people, the players, that they can bullshit with him at tribal council as long as they're honest in their interviews with producers. They can say whatever the fuck they want during tribal. It can be a lie, it can be bullshitting Jeff, like it just can't be disrespectful, but they can say whatever they want in tribal council, and it's all part of the game. So he's totally fine with that. And ever since then, I feel like almost everything said at tribal council is bullshit. Like they're really like, most of what they say is just like not even worth
And it's
noting.
kind of mostly what Jeff is asking. It's like, Jeff, you know these guys are not going to give you the right answer or like the truthful answer.
Yeah, I mean,
I
sometimes
mean, he
he
has
gets
to
some
ask.
interesting answers, but it's really like I feel like tribal council has been pretty boring, at least this season.
Unless there's an advantage involved, yeah, it's typically like not the conversation aspect is
Yeah,
typically pretty straightforward
yeah,
and just like yeah, all these people are bullshitting, and it's just ironically this felt like the most fluffed up like just bullshitting answers, and ironically it's the most honest season of Survivor of all time with the most honest players of all time, and they're all bullshitting.
mm-hmm.
But and the only people that aren't are actually Star and
And
Camilla.
Camilla.
Literally, the people that are not the honest ones, the heathens, are the ones
Yeah,
that are being the most honest.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
Because Camilla once again mentioned like David can be playing. David is playing the game that he wants to be, but the jury isn't gonna like his game.
Yeah,
Like
and
he's not thinking about the
I
jury.
immediately thought of Russell, like somebody who made it to the end. Yeah, like
Yeah,
hats off to you, but no one voted for you because you're an
yeah, because
asshole.
you screwed over everybody
Yeah,
and didn't do it in a way that they would still like you for it.
yeah. So like, I always think about times like that, and that's such a big aspect of it, and why like I can see why they hesitate and think about throwing in Mitch because like obviously probably the golden boy of Survivor, like you really can't get more likable than a guy like Mitch.
Yeah, and obviously David gets voted out, thank God. And Mary was just like shocked.
Yeah,
Mary
which
was so shocked.
fuck
So was
Mary.
David. But David, like, he literally sat in his seat for 30 seconds.
He sat there for
for
quite a
long
bit,
time.
and I saw this. I saw it 2 days ago or maybe yesterday. I saw on Twitter somebody was just floating around uh, a Reddit post of somebody apparently reliable saying that this next episode is going to be a female voted out, and that it's going to be that they're going to say something problematic or something like bad, and they're going to keep it in even though they shouldn't. And I really thought that they got the female part wrong, and that David was going to say some pretty crazy shit
He
because
seemed like
he was in the same exact like vibe and mood as when he lost his challenge. And it really seemed like he was about to just like start wailing on people. Like he was completely different.
Yeah. But now I wonder, like, maybe that person, that source, just got the episode wrong
Yeah, maybe,
for
or
when
maybe
that
they're just
happens.
bullshitting. But
Yeah. But I never have looked for Survivor spoilers. Like, I don't know if that's a thing. I know it was a thing for like other shows like The
I know,
Bachelor, but
I know there have been some like truthful or like I guess successful or not successful, but like accurate leaks and spoilers. It's just one that I saw people floating around and people were kind of running with it. But I just thought it was interesting because I was kind of waiting for that, and it really seemed like in that moment David was going to say something like pretty bad, and if anyone were going to say it, it would be him because he was blindsided, which is
mm-hmm.
exactly
Everything that
what
he couldn't
yeah
stand about the game.
everything he's against. And when Camilla said, you know, you can make it to the end, but you know, you got to think about who you're putting on the jury. I also thought like even if he does make it to the end, I can at least like sleep well at night knowing he's not going to get a single vote. But this is even better. Seeing him go home
This
was
is
even
way
better.
better. Because now I feel like they can actually start playing.
Yeah, it feels like, and even in the next trailer, they show that it's 4-on-4 now, which is the 4 alliance and the 4
Because Mary
stragglers.
realizes she's not a part of that alliance
Yeah, it was
anymore.
just David was her
David was the
in,
only person bringing her in.
and then now they're actually about to start going on the bigger alliance, and we can actually see some fucking strategy in this game for once.
Although I will say probably one of the strong people will get the immunity necklace. And Eva has an extra. No, she doesn't have an extra vote.
No, she has
JK.
a power without
Safety with
safety, safety
safety
without
without
power,
power.
and an immunity idol.
So she might use it.
Yeah, she doesn't feel safe, but
Although Kyle is still playing this like underground game with Camilla.
I think he performed very well this episode.
This might be the episode where he decides to just be out with Camilla.
Maybe, but I do think that this episode really showed Kyle's strength, because I feel like in the first half of the season, Camilla was kind of just like mostly calling the shots and making the big moves. Figured out his idol, decided to get out Thomas, and she kind of had to take a back seat because she's not in this alliance, and Kyle had to do all the work.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see Kyle actually contribute to this alliance. I feel like
Yeah.
they're both really contributing a lot. Like, she saved him, and he saved her, and I feel like he's building up a pretty good resume. And if he makes the top 3, I think he's got a good chance.
I think this is like, I think their alliance is turning out to be like one of my favorites.
David and Camilla.
No.
Or, I mean, Camilla and that was
Kyle
so off.
and Camilla.
Kyle and Camilla. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking about David in that second.
Yeah, because they're kind of like the first duo to play without anybody really knowing. And David was like the biggest threat to that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very stark contrast to like Eva and Joe, who are like very openly like,
yeah.
we're willing to die for each other.
Yeah. Crazy. I don't think they're my favorite alliance.
It's crazy how the season turned out. Like,
yeah.
I really liked Mary in the beginning, and I was like rooting for Mary, and as soon as she fucking teamed up with David, I'm like, she needs to go.
Yeah.
And
there was that moment where she said, when they did the tribe shuffle and they ended up on the same tribe. Do you remember that? Where it was David with all
3
the
women?
girls.
Yeah.
He was saying like, I take care of women and whatever. And there was an interview where Mary was like, you can take care of me.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Also, I did see that Mary stated that she is single because last episode she called out her boyfriend while she was up on the pole.
Oh, that's right.
I'm pretending it's my boyfriend. She's single.
Oh, she's single?
Yeah. She was like, I don't care what you heard, I'm single. So maybe she tried to do something with David.
God, that would be so horrific to hear.
But I forgot where I was going. Yeah, I don't like Mary.
Yeah, and same with Shaheen. I was like, first good amount of the beginning of the season, I was like, I don't really like Shaheen. And then I was like, I don't like Shaheen. I think he's terrible. I think he's not fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fun.
And I think he was contributing to the strong alliance and kind of being an asshole.
He still is.
A little bit, but he definitely, I think, besides Kyle, is probably my favorite out of that alliance.
I think that they're doing him a disservice because showing this montage of seeds being planted.
I would have been like, oh, he's gaming.
He's been playing harder than we know. And the whole episode was actually titled based off of what his interview was. Like, welcome to the party. I've been playing. I've been here.
Yeah.
And it's annoying that the editing is not showing us like these people actually playing the game. It is really annoying. So like, you don't think Star is playing, which I really don't think she is. Mitch, you don't see really playing.
Kind of not playing either, unless they're fucking hiding footage. But
although he did say like, I'm voting for David, and that kind of helped the momentum like really start going. I think they were thinking it, but like hearing Mitch say like, I'm 100% voting for David, I think that was like, that's a number right there. I think we can do something with that. And then obviously like Shaheen had been setting up the cards for this to happen, but it's really annoying that they're doing this to Shaheen to not really show like
Yeah.
that he's as great of a player as he might be. I also wanted to mention that he was on House Hunters. Somebody revealed that he was on House Hunters.
Did you send that to me?
I showed it to
Oh,
you.
you showed it to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I saw that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I just thought that was funny because I was, again, like last week was the first time that I had ever like tuned into what people were saying online about Survivor, because I've always just like watched it with my family, watched it with you, watched it by myself, and I never really like looked into what people were saying, but that
Yeah.
was funny to
It
see.
was weird. My algorithm, I don't know if I just looked it up one day when we were watching it, like maybe 2, 3 seasons ago. And like now, every time the season comes around, it's like my whole timeline is filled
Really.
with like Survivor stuff. I think it's just the algorithm just has
Hmm.
been better on like stuff I want to see. Same with the traders, same with the challenge. Um, but I think that's all I really have to say.
Really.
I mean,
Do you have anything more to say about the next episode?
so I mean, they showed an actual clip of Star saying something, and
Stars saying like let's align or like
yeah,
let's
she said
get out Joe, right?
yeah, she wants to get out Joe, which I'm not against. I don't. I like am half and half with Joe. Like, I think he's a very sweet man.
I think out of Joe and Eva, I'd rather Joe win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I just he's not gaming enough for me.
He's getting there. He's getting there. I think
Yeah.
after this though, I don't know if there's much more left in
If
him.
he would have voted Mitch, I would have honestly been done with the season and been like, fuck Joe, fuck Eva. Never want to see them on my screens
That would have
ever
been very
again.
disappointing.
I would have been so heartbroken. So at least he did something right. At least they both did
Mm-hmm.
something right. But I still feel like he's just missing something and he's not contributing to the overall season. He's just not.
Yeah, because the only reason he voted for David was because David said you went back on your word.
Yeah, he really pissed him off. And then he's like, all right, well, fuck you. And Eva's just gonna vote wherever he votes. He's gonna vote wherever Eva votes. And Joe or David even said to Eva when they were walking alone, and it was just the two of them. He said, "You know, I'm just getting paranoid." And David or Joe went back on his word, so he doubled down on saying that
Mm-hmm.
David or that Joe. Oh no, that Joe went back on his word when he just heard Joe get, or when she just heard Joe get upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you say that again?
Because his social game was so bad.
His social game was
I think
so
that was
awful.
on display here, that he was really bad at the social
Yeah, he
game.
couldn't hide his emotions.
And I think that he would have made it through had his social game been okay.
Oh
Just like
yeah,
Kyle. Like he's making it through because his social game is really on point right now. And just like we were saying, like the way that he shared with Joe on the beach, like I don't want to use the word manipulated, but he actually kind of did a little bit. Like, I think that was a little bit manipulative. Not that it was not genuine.
yeah, it was all true,
It was
but
all true,
just
but like,
weaponized a little bit.
yeah, he definitely swayed him. And I just thought that was a little funny because, like, Joe is sitting there calling David manipulative. And I mean, he's also being manipulated by Kyle, but
Yeah,
he did it in the right way. And where Joe like felt closer to Kyle than to David, and it ended up working for him. So Kyle's social game is really, really on point right now. So
yeah,
we'll see where that goes. I do wonder like how that's gonna play because Kyle is still a part of the Strong Alliance and they're still counting him in the four versus the other four.
yeah. And David was kind of like the ringleader of that alliance. I mean,
Yeah.
in the way where like he was calling most of the shots, and obviously like he just blew up his game. So it's really gonna be interesting seeing how they vote now, like together as a team
Mm-hmm.
going forward, to see if they go for Mitch. I think honestly the best bet should be going for Mitch.
Yeah.
I think they should bring Star to the end. She fucking sucks. She's not done
Mm-hmm.
anything besides give her idol away for free for
Mm-hmm.
absolutely nothing. So I don't see. You know what's crazy? No one's even bringing up that Eva has this idol. I always
Not
forget
really. I think that she's kind of being not
a threat.
well, she's like not in conversation because I think because of her autism.
Could
Honestly,
be, but
I think it's kind of shielding her right now, if I'm being
yeah,
honest. I know that that's something that charity chastity charity
Charity. Definitely not Chastity. I hope no one's called her
charity.
child Chastity. But yeah, I mean, I honestly forgot she even had the idol until she brought it up. No
I
one is
didn't,
ever bringing up, hey, Eva has this idol. Maybe we should flush it. Maybe we should like gun for her. Like it's not even like an issue.
which
And then
is not in Survivor
yeah,
fashion.
and then
So,
Kyle and Shaheen are told that she has this basically a new idol,
mhm.
and they're still like, nah, don't worry about it. Like she's on my team.
Yeah, Shaheen was like, "No, I'm not going for Eva."
Yeah, I'm not going for Eva. I'm with her, which is like, sure, as long as she's with you, then I guess that's fine.
But in that alliance alone, like there's four of them. What is
So I
I guess
guess,
they're just planning to get down to the fire making challenge and that's how it's determined.
which I guess is fair.
I guess.
Um, and I honestly wouldn't be upset about that. I
Except that
think
Camilla's not in that alliance.
I mean, she just
Are you just set on Camilla being in the jury?
no. Well, how I feel is like I'm more rooting for Kyle, and I think Kyle has done more at this point. I think it's harder. Um,
I guess.
I think what he has done is harder, and I think he has put himself in a better position than Camilla, and that's obviously because he is strong physically, and that is nothing Camilla can really control.
Well, and I will say, like, obviously, with the way that David brought in Mary, like, Kyle could have brought in Camilla from the start.
I guess, but
That's just not the way he saw their alliance going, or that he just didn't want their duo to be on display.
which yeah, I mean, I
I
think
guess in the end, it is right because David and Mary like got split up.
yeah, I think that is the best way going forward. But you know, if it's down to the five, where it's Camilla, Kyle, David, Eva, Shaheen, I think that's fair. And then if Kyle and Camilla can weasel themselves into the top four and get someone else out, cool. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't think that would happen. I think if it really is down to those five, I think they would the three of them would stay strong. And then it would probably be Camilla out. And I wouldn't be too upset about that. I'm mostly rooting for Kyle at this point, and if somehow they keep Mitch around, then I'm rooting for Mitch because no one else really no one has deserved to win this season besides Camilla and Kyle, and I don't know if Camilla has that strong of a chance because she's not in this alliance and this. It's really gonna it's really gonna be determined on how the rest of the season goes by this next episode and whether they get another strong person out from this alliance, then they're outnumbered by the odd people out. Or if they get somebody from, the odd numbers out, like a Mitch or a Star, then they just have complete control over the fate of the rest of the season if they stay strong,
Yeah,
which I think they could possibly do. I don't think Eva and Joe are ever going to flip on either Shaheen or Kyle unless they give them a reason
not
to.
at this point.
And I don't think Kyle would jeopardize flipping on either Shaheen or Joe or Eva just to save a Mitch or just to save a Star. I think the only time he would flip is when Camilla might be in danger. And I think Camilla might be the last person to be voted out outside of this alliance.
Yeah, I
Is
guess
how
that's
is
true.
how I think it's going to play out. And again, they could. I don't really see it happening. They could vote out um, a uh, a strong person this next episode, but I don't see it happening.
I feel like Eva might use her idol for whoever they think is going to be the person voted out.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Um,
guess we'll see.
yeah, it's really hard to say. I think for my prediction, I think if somehow the final three isn't the final four Lions, then I think Star is going to be the GOAT. But yeah, I really do feel like at least, very least, either Joe and Eva are going to be at the final three, no matter what.
You really think so?
One of them, maybe not both, but one of them.
I mean, yeah, I guess I don't know. I think
For Eva to fuck up this hard when she has two idols, basically, would be major, like the biggest fumble of Survivor, which is not true. There's been a lot of big fumbles, but it'd be pretty big fumble. Like she's not on anyone's radar. She basically has two idols, and there's only 8 people left. Like it would have to be a pretty colossal fumble to fuck this up.
Yeah, I think that they would have to blindside her, and it would have to be this next episode.
And they would have to blindside her without Joe, because Joe's not gonna blindside her.
Well, yeah, obviously, like Joe could never be in on the plan of getting Eva out.
Yeah,
never, and vice versa. Like they can't let Eva know that they want to get Joe out because she would use her idol on him. I think.
Yeah, and based off of
gonna come out.
Based off of this preview, it looks like they're gonna get Joe out.
Yeah. All right, it's time for bed.
It's time for bed. Vienna has woken up. That is it.
Good night.
Good night.